For 700 days, Roman Reigns has been the top dog in WWE, and it's safe to say his reign has been one of the greatest in WWE history. He's been really legitimizing the Universal title, because as you guys can remember, the Universal title really wasn't taken seriously. I mean, when you had the guys like Goldberg who held it and didn't even have a title defense during his reign. We had Brock Lesnar, which I did enjoy some of his Universal title reign. There were times where he just didn't show up for Raw and didn't defend it. And then Roman captured the Universal Championship at, I think, SummerSlam against The Fiend, when he came back as the Tribal Chief character. He's been on top of the company ever since then. And then now at SummerSlam, it's going to be Roman versus Brock in the last man standing match. And now, this is where Austin Theory comes in. As you guys know, Austin Theory is Mr. Money in the Bank. He has a year to cash in. And last Friday, it looked like he was going to cash in on Roman, but obviously he didn't. He just wanted to talk Roman a little bit. But in this video, I'm basically be booking Austin Theory as Mr. Money in the Bank and how I would build him up into winning the Universal title, and how his title reign will go from him winning it until him dropping it. But before we get into the video, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can join Naughty Gang. Let's jump into the video. Cue the intro.
Lee, can you turn it up, please?
Spear, you spazzed on this motherfucker.
I can't stack money to get no chrome heart. You got a bad bitch, you gon' choose who they want. You may gon' move up at my shooters, they gon' dump. We feel some pressure, we gon' move like we Trump. Yeah, my niggas say don't judge like a habit. Yeah, I feel the pressure, I'm still a savage. I keep my distance from these niggas. Wasn't back then, but now I'm shitting on these niggas. I told the rocket when I move. I'm too poppin', no, I can't go back to school. Did some meeting, you a fool. My shooter shootin', check the news. Thought I was sick the way I popped out with them blues. I got a bag on me. Used to be respond, get a laugh out of me. You insecure, no, that ain't me. You living life knowing it free. Can't show no peace when I be walking through the street. Move to LA, I'd be glad to. Thinking about the shit I didn't know.
So, on the episode of Raw, on the episode of SmackDown, Roman comes out and he addresses the WWE Universe. As his match ahead of Brock Lesnar, he's telling everyone, I'm gonna smash Brock Lesnar. Then Theory comes out of nowhere and starts to attack Roman from behind. Then the Usos beat down Theory, but Theory overcomes the Uso, then stares down Roman. And Roman is giving the "who the fuck is this guy" look to Theory, basically saying he's a nobody. And then Theory hits Roman with an ATL and grabs the mic and says to Roman, I am the youngest Mr. Money in the Bank in WWE history. And at SummerSlam, I will have your number and become the new undisputed Universal Champion. Then he leaves SmackDown. Then on Monday Night Raw, Theory comes out to open up Raw and addresses the WWE Universe and explains how at SummerSlam, he will be champ. Then out of nowhere, the Usos comes out and super kicks Theory. Theory gets beat down. Then Roman comes out, hit him with a nasty spear, sending a message to Theory to not step up to the Tribal Chief, and says to Theory, you will acknowledge me. Then the last SmackDown before SummerSlam, Brock and Roman comes out face to face as their match tomorrow night at SummerSlam awaits. Then Theory comes out to the ring and says, I don't care who ends up winning, but all I know is that SummerSlam, I'm cashing this Money in the Bank contract on either you, Roman, or either you, Brock. No matter at all. I know I'm walking out of SummerSlam as the new undisputed Universal Champion. Then Brock hits Theory with an F5 and attacks the Bloodline. Then Theory catches Brock and hits him with an ATL, then dumps the barricade, and Brock is pissed. You can tell he has that he's going to just kill everyone. Then Brock grabs the mic and says, I'm coming for blood, you son of a bitch. then SmackDown goes off the air. Now it's SummerSlam. Remember, Theory still has a rematch with Bobby Lashley for the US title. Bobby and Theory have a good match for about 20 minutes, but Theory loses. But he doesn't mind though, because he knows later tonight he's walking out of Nashville Stadium as the new undisputed Universal Champion. Then later that night, it's time for the main event. It's the Beast, the Conqueror, Brock Lesnar, up against the Tribal Chief himself, Roman Reigns, for the undisputed Universal Champion. And it's a dogfight. Both men are bloody. They can barely get up. Then, out of nowhere, the Usos come out and super kick Brock Lesnar, giving Roman the win when Brock couldn't get to his feet in 10 seconds. Roman wins, and then Are You Here is
A-Town.
Austin Theory music hits. He runs to the ring and stares down Roman. Roman's like, go ahead, try to cash in that Money in the Bank contract. Then the Usos try to attack Theory, but Theory has the help of the Alpha Academy to hold off the Usos. Then Theory thinks about cashing in on Roman. Then he says, you know what, F it, I'ma cash in right here, right now. And then now it's Theory versus Roman for the undisputed Universal Champion. And then Theory starts to attack Roman, beating the hell out of him. But then Roman starts to get a little bit of offense. He hits Theory with 2 spears. Roman goes for the fin, but Theory managed to get his shoulder up, and you can see the frustration in Roman's face. As he tried to go for a power bomb, Theory reverses it, and Theory hits Roman with an ATL. And then it's 1, 2, 3. And the new undisputed Universal Champion is Austin Theory. And the world is shocked. Everyone is shocked. No one was even expecting this to happen. And then Theory goes ahead, grabs the mic, and tells Roman, acknowledge me as the youngest undisputed World Heavyweight Champion. Then walks out of Nashville Stadium as the undisputed Universal Champion. Then, on the episode of Monday Night Raw, he addresses the WWE Universe, taunting around saying, I'm the new undisputed Universal Champion. I'm the youngest WWE Champion in WWE history. Then, out of nowhere, Roman comes and hits Theory with a spear and starts to beat down Theory, and it tells everyone, at Clash of the Castle, I'm going to get my titles back. And at Clash of the Castle, Theory and Drew McIntyre would acknowledge me. Then the crowd is looking confused because Drew McIntyre has a match with whoever won the Undisputed World Heavyweight Championship, which Theory won at SummerSlam. And then Drew McIntyre comes out and says, look buddy, that Undisputed Universal Championship is mine at Clash of the Castle. So I don't know what your deal is, but if you try to attempt to sabotage that match, I'm gonna come for you. Drew and Roman has a stare down. Then Theory manages to escape, and then he tells everyone, Roman, acknowledge me, and walks out of Raw. Then on SmackDown, Roman comes out. He's demanding that at Clash of the Castle it be a triple threat match between him, McIntyre, and Theory. Then Adam Pearce comes out and says, Roman, if you wanted to make it a triple threat match, you're going to have to win the 30-man Royal to become the #1 contender and get added into the Clash of the Castle match. Then in the main event of SmackDown, Roman wins the Royal Rumble for the #1 contender match for the Undisputed Universal Championship. He wins, and he tells Theory, at Clash of the Castle, you will acknowledge me. Then fast forward, the night before Clash of the Castle, it's a face-to-face with McIntyre, Theory, and Roman. Then Roman says to both of them, at Clash of the Castle, both you guys will acknowledge me as your tribal chief. castle, when I smash y'all, I'm gonna stand over y'all. I'm gonna be holding the Universal Championship and the WWE Championship, and I'm gonna raise them above my head to become a 2-time undisputed Universal Champion. And then Theory says, we'll see about that, and Drew McIntyre says nothing. Then SmackDown goes off the air, and then it's time for the main event of Clash at the Castle. It's a triple threat match. It's about a 40-minute match. Hell of a match. Theory manages to retain both titles, and Roman and Drew are just looking pissed, but Roman looks like he wants to kill Austin Theory. Then out of nowhere, all you hear is,
if you smell what The Rock is cooking.
The Rock comes back and he stares down Roman. The crowd is going crazy. Roman just looks even more angrier. And then after The Rock makes his entrance, Clash the Castle goes off the air. Then on Monday Night Raw, The Rock comes out and he addresses the WWE Universe. Basically tells the WWE Universe that he's sick and tired of Roman. He's sick and tired of thinking Roman, and people thinking Roman's some big bad guy, and thinking that people have to acknowledge him, and thinking that he's some tribal chief. And he said he's here to put an end to all of that. Then Theory comes out and interrupts The Rock and just basically starts to tell The Rock, like, yo, get out of here. Your time is up. No one wants you here. You're in Hollywood now. Your time in WWE is over. You're done. You're washed. This is not where you're supposed to be. Go back to making movies. Ain't you in a dog film, bruh? And basically just trolling this man. Basically saying, this man, bro, you shouldn't be back. You shouldn't be in a ring right now. Then Roman interest hits and he comes out and basically tells The Rock, yo, you're in my house. You're on my show. You're in my ring. You will acknowledge me as the tribal chief. Then The Rock starts to troll a little bit. He starts to troll Theory and Roman. But guys, if you want me to do a Roman versus a Rock series, make sure y'all smash that like button. I'll definitely do one. Then Theory walks out, and then next week on Monday Night Raw, he addresses everyone, says, at Clash the Castle, I beat Drew McIntyre and I beat Roman. I am untouchable. When you have Vince McMahon backing you, you're untouchable. I'm on top of the world right now. No one can beat me. No one can touch me. And everyone can acknowledge me. Drew McIntyre comes out and tells Theory that I want a rematch. Because we all know it should have never been a triple threat match with Roman. And I still want a one-on-one fair shot for the undisputed Universal Champion. Then Theory just looks at McIntyre and says, you want a shot at these titles? Drew, you can't even hang with me in the ring. You don't deserve a shot at the title. You had your shot at Clash the Castle in front of your hometown, and you still couldn't get the job done. You ain't worthy of a title shot. Then McIntyre slowly starts to walk away out the ring and then come out of nowhere and hits Theory with a claymore. Then starts to viciously beat Theory down, but Theory gets a little bit of offense, hits him with an ATL, and gets out of the ring. Then following Monday, it's a fatal 4-way match. Whoever wins this match will go on and face Theory at Extreme Rules in the main event. It's Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Riddle, and Sheamus. A fatal 4-way in the main event of Raw. Whoever wins will face Theory at Extreme Rules in the main event. It's a great match. And Riddle is getting a little bit of offense. It looks like Riddle's going to win. Then Seth Rollins comes out of nowhere, hits Riddle with a curb stop. 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins is the new #1 contender and will face Austin Theory at Extreme Rules in the main event. Then on the episode of SmackDown, Drew McIntyre cuts a babyface light promo, and then Seth Rollins comes out and starts to laugh and start calling him a loser, being that heel Seth Rollins that we all know he can be. And then Drew McIntyre starts to beat down Seth Rollins, just viciously attacking him. And then they square off and have the match in the main event of SmackDown, whereas Drew McIntyre will win and Seth Rollins just look a little angry, but he knows at Extreme Rules I still have an opportunity for the championship belts. Now it's at Extreme Rules for the main event. It is Austin Theory versus Seth Rollins. They put on, I think in real life these guys can put on a 5-star classic, but they put in a great match. And then Drew McIntyre comes, interrupt the match. Theory still gets the win. He starts to beat down Seth Rollins. He stares down Austin Theory, starts to attack Drew McIntyre, hits Drew McIntyre with an ATL, and then walks out and still the undisputed Universal Champion. And then on Monday Night Raw, Seth Rollins says, I won a rematch. He says it wasn't fair. Drew McIntyre interrupted the match, causing him a win against Theory. Then Adam Pearce comes out and says it will be Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre. Whoever wins will face Austin Theory in a no DQ match at Survivor Series. And then Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre put on a good match, and Seth Rollins manages to come out and get the win over McIntyre, and it's official. It's Seth Rollins, it's Drew McIntyre in the no DQ match. But Seth Rollins says he doesn't want Drew McIntyre at ring or anywhere near the ring, and Austin Theory complies. Now if Drew McIntyre gets anywhere near the match, he will be fined $1 million. Fast forward, it's Survivor Series, it's Seth Rollins, it's Theory, and they put on, I think, a 5-star classic. Theory retains his belt for a clean pin, and Drew McIntyre again comes out after the match and tells Theory, I'm next. Fast forward, now it's day 1, and the main event is Drew McIntyre, Austin Theory for the undisputed Universal Championship. At day 1, Theory edges out a win after cheating, a little bit of cheating, beats McIntyre, and McIntyre is pissed. He's like, his feet was on the ropes, the ref didn't see it, and McIntyre just looks furious, and he's ready to beat the brakes off of Theory. Then on Raw, Drew McIntyre is pissed. He's rampaging through the whole arena, demanding a rematch versus Theory. Then Theory comes out, cuts a promo saying, Drew McIntyre, you are not the chosen one. You are a failure of an experiment. You will never be on my level. Cause me, I'm all day, baby. And then fast forward, it's the Royal Rumble, and Drew McIntyre is making his mission to win the Royal Rumble and challenge Austin Theory for the undisputed Universal Championship. Then Seth Rollins manages to lie and get his way to have a match against Austin Theory for a 3rd time in the main event at the Royal Rumble. And then Drew McIntyre almost wins the den. Out of nowhere, all you hear is,
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Cody Rhodes is back after his long hiatus with the torn pec injury. Cody Rhodes enters the Rumble as number 27 entry and wins the Royal Rumble by eliminating Drew McIntyre, and now Cody Rhodes is headed to WrestleMania. Then, in the main event, it's Theory, it's Seth for the undisputed Universal Championship. And they put on a 5-star classic. They put on a hell of a match. It took Seth Rollins, hits Theory with 2 curb stops. Then he goes for the 3rd. He pins Theory. Then it's 1, 2, 3. And Seth Rollins is the new undisputed Universal Champion. And that's how I would book Austin Theory. I think if this reign would have happened in real life, I think you will call his championship reign a success, because he pinned Roman for the undisputed championship. He beat Drew McIntyre a couple of times. He beat Seth Rollins. I think it will be a good reign if everything I said would have happened, but obviously that's not going to happen. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure y'all smash that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to turn those post notifications on. And I'm out. Peace.
It was me and my bros, we was 10 toes on that front line. Know who got your back and who was with you when it's crunch time. I only hang with they one niggas, they by my side. Don't hesitate, they let they guns fly. Got shooters who fell in love with gunfire. Gun smoke, we let them have it if they want more. We got motion like a tight end. My niggas shoot guns for fun. Got switches, ain't no fighting. Tryna make it out the hood, but most of my niggas dying. If I make it out, who I'ma spend his bag with? Tryna run it up for these hard times that I ain't had shit. My mind can't even suck the fact that I'm a savage. Bitch, come to me on my birthday, no you can't have shit. I blow this glizzy in an outfit that I brought from Nemo. This first body on that Gen 5, he still say fuck it, keep it.